Although the Roaring Twenties is associated with speakeasies, flapper girls, and burgeoning sports stars like Babe Ruth, if you yourself were placed in a time machine and put smack dab in the middle of that glorious decade, perhaps the biggest household name you'd hear from millions of adoring fans is that of Rudolph Valentino. Indeed, this Italian-American actor became the quintessential heartthrob of the silent film era, whose meteoric rise to stardom was as dramatic as his on-screen personas. And Valentino's success was not only evident in his cinematic achievements, but also manifested physically in the form of Falcon Lair, a sprawling Benedict Canyon estate that became one of Hollywood's first homes of the stars. In its prime, Falcon Lair served as the ultimate symbol of Valentino's success, hosting the who's who of Tinseltown on its iconic grounds, and representing the glamour and opulence that characterized Hollywood's golden age. However, the story of Falcon Lair did not end with Valentino. This majestic estate later became the property of Doris Duke, the legendary billionaire heiress who cherished the home, adding major additions and even passing away within its walls in 1993. And yet, despite its historical and cultural significance, Falcon Lair could not escape the fate that befalls so many unforgettable buildings in the City of Angels. In today's episode, we'll describe how, in a turn of events that mirrored the transient nature of fame and fortune in Hollywood, Rudolph Valentino's, and later Doris Duke's, iconic California mansion met its end as we describe. Why the ultimate old Hollywood mansion was destroyed. In 1925, Rudolph Valentino, the silent film luminary, whose cinematic magnetism ensnared the hearts of millions, acquired the Falcon Lair estate, set against the lush backdrop of Benedict Canyon in Bel Air, Los Angeles. You see, Benedict Canyon, during the 1910s and 1920s, was an emerging haven for the burgeoning elite of Hollywood's golden age, and its seclusion offered a perfect retreat from the limelight, while its proximity to the developing movie industry made it a strategically poised sanctuary for those in the silent film sector. And this 4-acre estate, nestled within these storied hills, cost Valentino a substantial $175,000, a shake-level sum that translates to over $3 million today. But this purchase was not just a matter of acquiring real estate, it was a declaration of his stellar success and the lavish lifestyle that fame had afforded him during the exhilarating days of the Roaring Twenties. Thus, by choosing this spot, Valentino was planting his roots in an area that was as strategic as it was scenic, reflecting both his personal taste and his public persona. And the name Falcon Lair was a homage to Valentino's never-realized film project, The Hooded Falcon. And this estate served as his private escape, a place where he could elude the intense public gaze while still basking in the glow of his cinematic fame. Furthermore, its prime location afforded Valentino a cloistered feel, while still providing quick access to the burgeoning glamour of nearby Beverly Hills and what would become the famed Rodeo Drive shopping area. And architecturally, Falcon Lair was a marvel of the 1920s, exemplifying the Spanish Revival style that was gaining prominence among the Hollywood elite. This aesthetic, characterized by its rustic stucco walls, ornate tile work, and wrought iron details, resonated with Valentino's European sensibilities and was favored for its romantic allure, reminiscent of California's historic Spanish roots. Therefore, it mirrored the opulence and dramatic flair that Valentino himself brought to the silver screen, making it a fitting choice for his personal haven. Additionally, the main residence was a treasure trove showcasing Valentino's vast array of antiques and memorabilia acquired during his international travels. For example, the living room was adorned with an exquisite Persian rug that Valentino found in a bazaar in Istanbul, and the study housed an impressive collection of Renaissance art pieces he had hand-picked from small Italian villages. And the estate's exterior was equally impressive, with over 50 Italian cypress trees standing sentinel, their tall, slender forms creating a stately and serene ambiance that transported visitors straight to the Tuscan countryside. The European aesthetic that Valentino so cherished was further enhanced by a meticulously curated Italian-style garden featuring a variety of Mediterranean flora and a classic fountain centerpiece. This landscape design not only beautified the estate, but also served as a personal sanctuary where Valentino could unwind amidst the natural beauty that echoed his Italian heritage. And even better for Valentino, his fervor for horses was evident in the estate's layout, which included stables for his 4 Arabian horses. It was thus not uncommon to see the film star indulging in his equestrian passion, taking morning rides across his vast domain. But the property did not stop at lavish living spaces. It also featured a variety of extravagant additions. Notably, a 3-bay garage was later transformed by a subsequent owner, Doris Duke, into a chic 3-bedroom guest house, complete with a pool pavilion. Additionally, the estate hid a mysterious basement filled with a tangle of electrical wires and switches unearthed by actor Harry Carey during his tenure at the residence. Therefore, Falcon Lair was a fortress of solitude and splendor that perfectly encapsulated Valentino's and later Doris Duke's affluence and seemingly unending ability to attract wealth and prestige. And yet, unlike the billionaire heiress who would later call this Hollywood mansion home, Rudolph Valentino did not grow up with a silver spoon, or even a copper one, in his mouth. Let's look into the rags to riches tale of one of America's first movie stars and discover how his meteoric rise to stardom eventually became embossed in stone through this legendary home. Born in 1895 under modest circumstances in the Italian town of Castellaneta, Rudolph Valentino's ascent to Hollywood fame is a classic American tale of stardom. Indeed, his early life hardly hinted at his future status as a silver screen legend. And though his radiant looks and vibrant character won him admiration from the ladies back home in Italy, the lack of professional prospects soon propelled him toward America, with a hopeful arrival at Ellis Island in late 1913 at just 18. Opting to keep his Italian citizenship, Valentino dove headfirst into the American job market, and by 1914 he was earning the modern equivalent of around $5,000 a month, dancing the tango in partnership with Joan Sawyer, a gig he secured through the connections of restaurateur Joe Pani. And his subsequent role as a taxi dancer at Maxim's Restaurant Cabaret saw him rubbing elbows with exiled European nobles and wealthy patrons. Then, the year 1917 marked a turn in Valentino's career path when he joined a traveling operetta troupe heading for Utah. Although the company disbanded shortly after, Valentino continued his artistic pursuits, eventually landing in Los Angeles. Residing at the Alexandria Hotel, he kept busy dancing, teaching, and wooing a predominantly female clientele, who often indulged the young heartthrob with the use of their luxury vehicles. Soon, persistence in seeking film roles would eventually bear fruit, and despite being pigeonholed early on as a cinematic villain, his breakout role in the 1921 hit The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse redefined his image. Playing a tango-dancing playboy, Valentino captivated audiences and rocketed to fame. His subsequent role in The Sheikh further cemented his status as a hallmark of exotic allure and sensuality, drawing throngs to theaters, entranced by his vibrant performance and compelling charm. Thus, by 1925, when he purchased the grounds of Falcon Lair, Valentino wasn't just a movie star. He was an icon of the roaring 20s opulence and boldness. He decided to materialize his success through the construction of a grand Spanish Revival-style mansion on the property, and architect Wallace Neff, celebrated for his expertise in Spanish colonial revival architecture, was tasked with bringing Valentino's lavish vision to life. Neff's design incorporated signature elements such as red clay tiles, thick stucco walls, and graceful arched windows and doorways, and the addition of wrought iron balconies and vivid tiles infused the estate with aesthetic richness and cultural resonance, reflecting Valentino's taste for intricate and cosmopolitan designs. Additionally, Valentino oversaw every aspect of the construction of Falcon Lair, diving into every detail from the selection of materials to the layout of the gardens. And his meticulous involvement extended to the ornamental choices, ensuring that each facet met his exact standards. By the time the home was completed, it stood as a grand example of one of silent-era Hollywood's most opulent homes. And now, all Rudolph Valentino had left to do was invite a few friends over to bask in his creative glory. Rudolph Valentino's mornings at Falcon Lair typically kicked off with a spirited gallop across the estate's sprawling grounds, atop one of his prized Arabian horses. Here, the silent film icon found his bliss in the saddle, a respite nestled, oops, make that comfortably placed, among the lush landscapes of his grand estate. After dismounting, Valentino would retreat to his study, a sanctuary where he indulged his eclectic tastes, ranging from literature to the fine-tuning of his enviable collection of luxury cars parked in his expansive three-car garage. But Valentino, despite Falcon Lair's seemingly out-of-the-way location, never quite vanished from the limelight. Instead, he transformed his home into a hub for Hollywood's elite, hosting dinners and soirees that quickly became must-attend events. The buzz surrounding these gatherings would echo through Tinseltown, with guests frequently left awestruck by the sheer opulence of the venue and Valentino's consummate charm. It was these grandiose parties that drew a glittering crowd, from silver screen legends to the financial titans of the West Coast, all eager for a taste of Valentino's famed hospitality. And yet, within a year of the home's grand opening, tragedy struck on a seemingly ordinary day on the 15th of August 1926, when Valentino was suddenly overcome by severe abdominal pain at Manhattan's Hotel Ambassador. Rushed to the New York Polyclinic Hospital, he was diagnosed with appendicitis and gastric ulcers, a condition that would later bear his name, Valentino's syndrome. Despite a swift surgical response, complications ensued, and by August 18th, the outlook seemed hopeful. Yet within days, his condition regressed dramatically, leading to his untimely demise on August 23rd at the tender age of 31. Now, Valentino's passing prompted an outpouring of public grief rarely seen. An estimated 100,000 people thronged the streets of Manhattan, their collective sorrow marking the profound impact Valentino had on his fans and the film industry alike. Valentino's funeral took place at St. Malachy's Roman Catholic Church, affectionately known as the Actors' Chapel, located in the heart of New York's bustling theater district, and the service was attended by many from the entertainment industry. Valentino left the bulk of his will to his brother, sister, and Rambova's aunt, Teresa Werner, ensuring that his legacy would continue to be a part of the lives of those he cherished most. And yet, Falcon Lair itself was thrust onto the auction scene to settle his debts. In the next chapter, we'll feature a not-so-anonymous billionaire buyer who would pick up the legacy of Falcon Lair in the decades following Valentino's passing. Following Valentino's passing in 1926, Falcon Lair itself morphed into a realm of grief and intrigue. A flamboyant South American playboy erected a garden monument in the 1930s, adding a touch of sentimental gravitas to the estate. Then, the 1940s saw the mansion change hands multiple times until tobacco heiress Doris Duke acquired it in 1953, introduced to the property by none other than actress Gloria Swanson. Duke envisioned Falcon Lair as a serene haven from her bustling lifestyle and extensive travels, and though she initially planned to restore the grand main house, practical realities redirected her efforts toward revamping the outbuildings, including stables and staff quarters. During Duke's tenure, the estate transformed into a vibrant spot for impromptu jazz sessions, mirroring her passion for music and her association with jazz musician Joe Castro. For instance, the estate's music room, swathed in velvet, and a living room decked with ostrich feather ceilings, became the stage for numerous soirees featuring luminaries like Duke Ellington. Yet, Duke's residency was not devoid of personal strife. Post-breakup with Castro, Falcon Lair served as a mere layover between her various homes, and in her twilight years it became a refuge during her recovery from numerous elective surgeries. The 1980s underscored a shift in Duke's demeanour, marked by her volatile relationship with adopted daughter Chandi Hefner, who was ultimately disinherited. Doris Duke's final years mirrored the estate's tales of turbulence. In 1992, after a facelift gone awry, she suffered a series of health setbacks, culminating in a severe stroke. The legendary heiress passed away at Falcon Lair in 1993, and like Valentino before her, Duke left behind a legacy intertwined with the fabled estate, each owner adding layers to its legend without dimming its storied past. And yet, although this Hollywood mansion had all of the trappings of a living piece of history, legendary stars, billionaire heiresses passing away within its walls, and public support. What could lead society to decide to send the wrecking ball to Falcon Lair? In the next chapter, we'll find our answer as we meet the end of this storied estate. During the late 1990s and early 2000s, Falcon Lair, the famed estate that once hosted Hollywood's glitterati, found itself teetering on the brink of obscurity. Yet the allure of the golden age of cinema, amplified by the legendary mystique of Rudolph Valentino, the Latin lover of silent films, quickly sparked a resurgence in public interest that transcended mere nostalgia. Reports of eerie occurrences and phantom sightings at Falcon Lair only magnified its appeal, turning the estate into a curious intersection of celebrity lore and ghostly whispers. Furthermore, its role as a film set kept it relevant. The 2002 indie film The Trip was just one of many projects that tapped into the estate's old-world charm, ensuring its place in the spotlight wasn't entirely dimmed by time. Thus, the battle to preserve Falcon Lair was fervent, with historians and preservationists at the forefront endeavouring to capture and keep alive the estate's storied legacy. However, maintaining Falcon Lair was no small feat. The demands of preservation clashed with the realities of modern development pressures. By 2006, a tough, albeit heart-wrenching decision was made. The main house was to be demolished. This decision sent shockwaves through the community, especially among those who had tirelessly advocated for its preservation. The demolition was not just the loss of a building, it was seen as the closing of a chapter, a poignant end to an era where Hollywood's golden age still flickered, however faintly. The reaction to the demolition was palpable across various circles, from Joe Castro, a jazz musician who fondly remembered the lavish parties under the patronage of Doris Duke, to historians who had long fought to save Falcon Lair. It was a loss that transcended the physical. It tugged at the heartstrings of those who cherished the Hollywood of yore. Despite the demise of its main structure, the essence of Falcon Lair lives on. Rumors persist that Valentino's spirit still wanders its grounds, keeping the legacy of his charisma and cinematic impact alive. Today, only a few parts of the original Falcon Lair estate still exist and can be seen. The former stable building and three-bay garage, converted by Doris Duke into a three-bedroom guesthouse and pool pavilion, remains standing on 1.3 acres of the original property, and the estate's original gates are still in place, serving as a poignant reminder of the property's storied past. And now, we'd like to see you in the comments. Do you think the city of Los Angeles should have fought to preserve Falcon Lair for all time? Or is this just another case of the invisible hand of capitalism paving the way for an even grander estate someday? We love hearing your thoughts, so don't be shy. And thanks for joining us for another episode of Old Money Mansions. Cheers, until next time.